At Forrester Creations, everything was spinning again, just under the surface. Behind the fabric samples, the production meetings, and the carefully curated social media campaigns, there was chaos. Hope Logan was laser-focused on relaunching Hope for the future. And when Dickie Sharp walked into her office unannounced, it was both surprise and opportunity wrapped in one. Dickie needed a job, and Hope needed fresh energy. She didn't hesitate, told him she'd find something for him. But there was tension in his eyes, something unspoken. He kept glancing at his phone, chewing his lip. Hope noticed but didn't press. Not yet. Dickie had a secret, one big enough to unravel everything. Luna Nozawa was alive. Dickie wasn't supposed to say anything. That had been made very clear. Too many powerful names were involved, and too much was at stake. Luna's survival had been quietly contained to a few individuals. And Dickie had been forced into silence. But the weight of the lie was suffocating him. Especially now that he was back in the building. Face to face with people who thought Luna was dead. People like Finn. John Finnegan had barely been holding it together since Luna disappeared. When he finally learned the truth, that Luna was not only alive, but had been hiding out in the Spencer estate, the ground shook beneath him. He stormed into the mansion, demanded answers, but what he got instead was Luna spinning a story so twisted it stopped him cold. She claimed she had no choice, that she was in danger, that she'd been threatened, that hiding at Will Spencer's estate was the only way to survive. She even hinted at being drugged, manipulated, forced into intimacy with Will. But her words were calculated, desperate. Something didn't sit right with Finn, especially when he looked into her eyes. She wasn't telling the whole story. What was true, Luna was pregnant. And the child, she said, might be Will's. Meanwhile, Rich Forrester wasn't buying Luna's sudden reappearance or her victim routine. And when he confronted Lee Finnegan, his voice was like a blade. He accused her outright, of negligence, of enabling, of protecting Luna when she should have intervened long ago. Lee tried to fight back, but the guilt overwhelmed her. She fell to her knees in his office, breaking in a way no one had seen before. She admitted it. She had known Luna was unstable, had known she was capable of deceit. But she had hoped, prayed, begged the universe that she'd been wrong. She hadn't. And now, Luna had left a path of destruction behind her. Brooke and Taylor didn't even argue. They were in rare agreement. Steffy Forrester needed to stay out of this mess. Let the Spencers, the Forresters, and the Finnegans handle the disaster. Let Luna answer for her lies, preferably back in a prison cell. But the real storm was still forming, quietly, painfully, in Electra Forrester's chest. She loved Will Spencer. That wasn't in question. But love wasn't enough anymore. Ivy Forrester saw it coming before Electra could even admit it. She cornered her in the showroom, eyes sharp, voice low. You need to be honest with yourself, she said. If that baby is Will's, are you going to live your life raising his child while sharing him with Luna? Electra didn't answer. But the silence said everything. Will had promised her he'd handle it. That his future was with Electra. But every time she saw Luna's name in the headlines, every time she saw his face clouded with guilt, doubt crept back in. Katie Logan knew the situation was spiraling. She decided to take matters into her own hands. She reached out to the only person she trusted with both science and secrecy, Bridget Forrester. Bridget had handled paternity tests before, and she could be discreet. Katie asked her to run a DNA test on Luna's unborn child. Luna agreed, hesitantly, but her panic was obvious. Her story was already cracking. The only way to keep her version alive was if the test proved Will was the father. While they waited for the results, Will tried to steady the ship. He showed up at Electra's house late at night, told her he loved her, that no matter what happened with Luna, he wasn't walking away. But Electra was stone. You don't get to make promises until we have answers, she said. Until then, don't ask me for forever. It wasn't rejection, but it wasn't trust either. At Spencer Publications, Will met with his legal team. They were drawing up contingency plans. If the baby was his, he'd do the right thing, support Luna and the child. But his future, his heart, remained with Electra. He made that clear in every call, every meeting, every signed document. He wouldn't let Luna manipulate her way into his life. Not again. At the hospital, Bridget ran the test. Triple-checked the samples. Luna hovered, trying to act indifferent, but everyone saw the tension. Days passed. Then the results came in. Bridget read them alone. Her face went pale. The child was Will's. The news tore through the family like a wildfire. Electra locked herself in her room. Ivy tried to intervene, but Electra didn't want comfort. She wanted silence. Will showed up again, this time holding the results. It doesn't change anything, he said. It changes everything, she replied. You can't build a life with me while raising a baby with someone who lied to everyone's face. How can I ever believe you'll choose me again? Elsewhere in Los Angeles, another relationship quietly fractured. Carter Walton had ended his engagement to Hope Logan after months of tension and emotional distance. He confided in Daphne Rose, who had always been there, loyal, grounded, and fiercely protective. Daphne listened. Then she made her move. You made the right call, she said. You were never going to be her first choice. But I could be yours. Carter didn't answer, but he didn't walk away either. Hope, meanwhile, was spiraling. She hadn't expected to lose Carter. Not really, and when her engagement ring went missing, no one knew if she lost it, threw it, or pawned it. The symbolism hit hard. Liam noticed. Always watching, always waiting. He stepped in, quietly, gently. He took her hand one night after a board meeting, looked her in the eyes, and said, "You don't need a ring to know who you belong with." Hope didn't respond, but she didn't pull away either. Back at the Spencer estate, Luna reveled in her temporary victory. But even she knew it wouldn't last. Will visited her once after the results came in. He said the child would have everything it needed, but she would have nothing else from him. No shared home, no affection, no future. Ridge watched the entire saga unfold with growing fury. He blamed Lee, he blamed Luna, he even blamed Will. But mostly, he hated that Elektra had to suffer while Luna got to keep breathing air outside a cell. He promised he'd do everything in his power to make sure justice came. And Elektra? She finally emerged. In a black dress, sunglasses on, her hand resting softly over her stomach. She stepped into Forrester Creations, walked to the executive suite, and called a press conference. Cameras flashed. Reporters asked questions. She spoke into the microphone with calm precision. I am stepping down from my leadership role at Forrester Creations. I'm taking time to focus on my family, on my health, and on what truly matters. Lies have ruled this business too long. That ends today. Then she dropped the final bombshell, and for those asking, yes. I am pregnant, and yes, the father is Will Spencer. The room erupted, but Elektra didn't flinch. She turned, walked out, and left the world to burn. Because in Los Angeles, reputations are built on beauty. But they're destroyed by truth. And now, everyone had a secret to keep. Ridge Forrester was already at the edge when he stormed through the doors of the hospital's administrative wing. His jaw clenched, eyes narrowed with fury that had been simmering for weeks. The revelations about Luna Nozawa hadn't just blindsided the family. They had detonated a chain of lies that no one was prepared to handle. And at the heart of it all was Dr. Lee Finnegan, a woman Ridge had once respected. Now someone he could barely look at without questioning everything. He didn't wait for an invitation. He pushed open the door to Lee's office and walked in like a storm. Lee stood from her desk, clearly expecting him. She tried to speak, but Ridge cut her off instantly. Don't give me another calm explanation. I want the truth. I want the whole damn truth about Luna. How long you've known she was alive. What exactly she's done. And why in hell you kept all of this from us. Lee kept her composure. But barely. I did what I thought was best, she said. Luna was unstable. She was confused. I needed time to assess the situation before what? Ridge barked. Before she manipulated Will? Before she got herself pregnant? Before she dragged this family through another public nightmare? You gambled with all our lives because you wanted time? Lee's voice trembled slightly now. You think I wanted this? You think I wanted to watch my niece fall apart in secret while the world thought she was dead? Don't play victim, Ridge snapped. You let a woman fake her death, disappear into the shadows, then resurface pregnant and surrounded by scandal. And you're asking me to believe you were trying to protect anyone but yourself? The door opened again. Brooke Logan stepped in, followed closely by Katie Logan and Bill Spencer. Ridge didn't even look at them. He kept his eyes on Lee. Brooke tried to defuse. Ridge, maybe we should. No, he snapped, his voice rising. No more soft voices. No more diplomacy. We've been covering for each other for too long. And look where that's gotten us. Katie moved closer to Lee. Her tone tight. Lee, I asked Bridget to run the paternity test because none of us could trust Luna anymore. Not after what happened with the fake results last time. And what do you know? She was right to be afraid. Again, Bill crossed his arms. And don't think for a second I'm going to let my son be dragged through this circus without answers. Will's life is tied to this now. My name is tied to this. Your lies didn't just affect your hospital, Lee. They hit my family. They hit the Spencers. Lee finally snapped. You think I don't know that? You think I haven't lost sleep every night since the day Luna vanished? I've lived in fear that everything would unravel. And now that it has, I'm the one on trial? Ridge stepped forward. You bet you are. Because you crossed a line. You stopped being a doctor and became a co-conspirator. And now every secret you kept is dragging our families through hell. Brooke added sharply, this isn't just about Luna. It's about how much damage is acceptable when it comes to preserving your pride, your control. And you don't get to hide behind the Hippocratic Oath when people's lives, people's reputations, are destroyed. Lee looked around the room, her face pale, her posture rigid. I never meant for this to go this far. Bill's voice was like steel. Intentions mean nothing now. Results do. And the result is that Luna has manipulated her way back into my son's life. Tied him to a child he didn't plan for. And forced Elektra into an impossible position. You kept the strings hidden. But you were pulling them the entire time. Katie added. And don't forget, Lee, you covered for Bridget's forged test once. How can we even trust that the new one is real? How many layers of deceit are we still peeling back? Lee's voice cracked. That was not my doing. Bridget acted on her own. Ridge wasn't finished. So what did you do? Just stand by? Let it happen? Because that's still guilt, Lee. That's still betrayal. There was a beat of silence before Lee finally lowered herself into the chair behind her desk. I failed. I failed Luna. I failed this hospital. And I failed you. Ridge didn't let up. This isn't about failure. This is about integrity. We trusted you. And you made us look like fools in public while your niece played dead. Seduced Will. And used a child as a chess piece. Lee wiped a tear but said nothing. Brooke moved closer to Ridge, placed a hand on his arm, a rare show of solidarity. Ridge, this isn't just about rage anymore. We need a plan. We need to figure out what happens next. Because Luna is still out there. Still pregnant. And still a threat to everything Elektra and will have tried to build. Katie added, we can't go back. But we can set conditions for moving forward. And Lee, if you want any chance of repairing this, you start by giving us everything. Every record, every file, every conversation with Luna since the day she disappeared. Lee nodded. Numb. I'll do it. Ridge turned, looking each of them in the eyes. Good. Because I swear, if anything like this ever happens again, I don't care if you share blood with half this building. You're out. And I'll make sure the world knows exactly what kind of doctor you are. The group dispersed, but the tension didn't fade. They left with more questions than answers, more damage than progress. Ridge returned to Forrester Creations, still seething. Brooke followed, already drafting a strategy to protect the company name from any legal blowback. Katie called Bridget immediately, demanding triple verification of the paternity results. Bill began pushing his PR team to bury any connections between Spencer Publications and Luna. But Luna wasn't going quietly. She remained at the Spencer estate, confined under security watch, still pregnant, still dangerous. She granted one interview, anonymous, audio only, to a gossip outlet, painting herself as the victim, claiming she had been controlled by forces beyond her will, that the Forresters had always looked down on her, that she had no choice but to flee. The fallout hit fast. Social media erupted. Some believed her, others demanded her arrest. The Forresters' image took another hit. And Elektra, now several months pregnant herself, made no public comment. She stayed hidden, her inner circle tighter than ever, her silence the loudest response of all. But in the boardrooms, in the press rooms, in the hallways of Forrester Creations and the shadows of Spencer Publications, one thing was clear. This war wasn't over. It had just changed battlegrounds. And the next move would be everything.